Yeah, like I tell you, the thing with acid is it's a very, it's just not around anymore. You know, it's all relics from the '60s and MK Ultra and shit like that. And acid does strange things to your mind. It's a drug unlike any other. My thing is, I first got addicted to speed when I was 11 years old, taking blotter acid that was cut with strychnine on blotter papers. That's how you used to cut the acid. That's how you used to cut acid. The strychnine in it, and it would give you something they used to call rock gut. Rock gut is also known as like a biker drink, but but that was this, or you get the movie cam effect. Blotter acid. Sometimes when you dry lethargic acid diethylmolide out, you dip it. You take blot. They don't even make blotter paper anymore, but back then you would take blotter paper, which is just like construction paper. It's the same texture as construction paper. It's absorbent, and they'll dip a sheet of it in acid, and they'll put it up under phosphorus, or sometimes they'll just put it up and dry it off over a pan. And as the page goes down, the acid gets stronger because that's where more of the acid collected. I was trying to do that story. When you take three-way sunshine, that means it's been dipped three times. Dipped, dried, dipped, dried, three times. That's why, yeah. Um, mhm. And that was the strain that was going around for a while. It was the last gasp of acid. There were no gel tabs then. There was when I was telling you about that bad acid trip. I went off over gel tabs, but the gel tabs usually were a joke. I could eat 10 of them. My friends were the type of people that would eat sheets of acid because acid you acquire a tolerance to rapidly, like none other. You take one hit on Friday night, you take another on Saturday night, immediately on the next night, because acid lasts 16 to 24 hours. The next night, you need two hits of acid. Sunday, the same thing, you would need three or six maybe by that point. It multiplies tolerance rapidly. But it does shit to your psyche. It's a derivative of the ergot fungus. The ergot fungus was discovered by Hoffman at the Zandaz laboratories in Switzerland in the 1920s. He was a scientist. He was accidentally exposed to it, and he was riding home on his bike, and he got into a bike accident. And he went home and wrote in his memoirs. You know, today I had the most peculiar experience at Zandaz laboratories. I became, you know, and that's when you take a good acid trip. It's like Alice in Wonderland. You know, everything becomes better or more minimalized. You have mild hallucinations, like if you go into an elevator, you might think it's on fire because a red light went off. It distorts your thinking and your um, the asshole told me to shut up over here. I'm gonna beat his ass. It distorts your distance and perception, but it does unspeakable things to the mind. I was reading a lot of John Kent and John Milton, or no, John Kent and who the fuck wrote Zarathustra and God is dead. Frederick Nietzsche. I was reading, um, and I thought, and I went to a terrified place where I couldn't make a phone call because I all the numbers on the phone turned into hieroglyphics. I had the fear of God put in me, and I had a little statue of Mary stepping on a certain serpent in my room, and I was praying to it. Oh God, help me, please, fucking help me. Um, and yeah, you just have this immediate death instinct, this terrified, and your psyche cracks, and you're like, am I gonna be okay? The discomfort is so intense that you can't do anything to stop it. And it just opens up, asks questions about your mental sanity. The next day, I couldn't see properly, and all this shit happened. And it also put me in a deep dark depression. I'm trying to talk about deep personal shit on my porch, and this dickhead keeps chanting, "Shut up." But no, I didn't go to no hospital for it. I was first went to therapy, group therapy. My mother had just left my father, and she left without any notice. None of us knew she was gonna. leave our family, and it left us all in shock. And that's how I started doing shit. I started taking lots of acid because I hadn't begun drinking yet, really. And I told my father, who just got out of the nut ward because he was in the hospital, depressed over my mother. And he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Aaron. I wish you would have. I'm glad you told me." He said, "The best I could do is get you some free, some therapy on my insurance at CHP," because he was a postman. And that's what we did. And he told me, "If you want to take acid, Aaron, I'll take it with you. We got to turn this into a bachelor pad here or something." And that's what we did, me and my father. But he said, "We got to," and I remember just looking at him like, "This is fucking weird." And he's like, "We got to turn this into a bachelor pad. How about you take the second floor? I'll take the first floor, and we just ride it out till it gets foreclosed. We'll try to keep it, but I got to get better, and you got to get better." And he took the role of my mother. It was amazing. He did well. He tried to cook. He did laundry. I never seen him do anything like this in my life. He was a very strong man. I wish I could be like him. He could always bounce back. If he lost a band, he'd have two the next week. If he lost his wife, he'd have two the next week and bounce the fuck back. Me, I'm not like him. I'm gonna fucking stab this cunt next door guy. Yeah, yeah. Who the fuck is you? Suck this chode, piece of shit. But the acid will. Kids don't gotta worry about that anymore. This is Nancy Reagan heaven these days. Nobody's on drugs. And the people that are on drugs, supposedly, are on some fucked up drugs. They're just death drugs. All I do is fentanyl and crystal meth and heroin. What else is there? You know? We had mushrooms. And mushrooms is a different trip altogether. You have a bad mushroom trip, you might be throwing up. You might be. Mushrooms are fungus mushrooms. Those are hardcore. Everything turns into planet Dagobah, and there's a big tree growing through your living room. That's what mushrooms do. They give you this nature trip, and you're just like, holy shit, everything. Where the fuck is Yoda? He's got to come out. That's what it does to me, at least. The psilocybin, and you do get sickness. But I've taken peyote in the form of yeah, mescaline. I don't know why I couldn't think of that forever. In the form of mescaline. Mescaline is besides peyote the most powerful. It's a synthetic peyote, and it's the most powerful hallucinogenic there is. Besides the peyote button, and that's not just a preference; that's a fact. Uh, I can't forget. I forgot the word again that I just said. The name of that drug, but things like dimethyltryptamine, I got to try too. That shit tears you. I mean, that will put your kid in a mental hospital or something like that or whatever if you take too high doses of it. You seem to like that story. It wasn't really a big deal. It's just acid. That's what does it. I was dealing with existential issues and severe depression and all kinds of PTSD at a young age and just whatever. But the acid is gone. I can't tell you in the past 20 years how many times I've been ripped off for acid. Either getting you're like, what the fuck is this? This is a gel tab. Yeah, it looks like a gel tab. Is there anything on it? Can't you get any blotters? Can't you get any just what I'm saying? That's always the motherfucker I've been. Ever since I got money and I grew up, I'm like, who's got the liquid acid? Fuck a sheet. I'll take a sheet of blotter if somebody could get one. Other than that, I'd be tripping like John Lennon if I could nowadays. It'd be like I spent all of 24 in a fucking LSD fucking haze. I would too. I'd dose every night. And then I take speed. There's nothing like being a mad hatter running around on hallucinogenic and amphetamine, barking at the fucking moon, lunatic. Jack the fucking werewolf lunatic in the yard, spinning around in the moonlight, screaming about his existential fucking howlings.